Hello, hello. Hope you all who are joining are doing fabulously on this Saturday. Hopefully you and your people are healthy and strong. I am just sharing this out with the various communities. One second. While you're getting settled in, you may want to grab whatever you want for meditation. Maybe a cushion, maybe a shawl, maybe a pillow. All right. Get on Instagram and we are good to go. Hello, everyone. Welcome. Hi, Anna. Good to connect with you. Who else is joining us? Good to see you all. We are on Instagram, we are on Facebook, and we are together in the place where we are always together, which is consciousness. So let's just take a moment. I just want to check in. Hey, Nikki. Hey, Ray. Hey, Pat. Andrea, my college roommate. Hello, beloved. These are so much fun. It just feels like a reunion. Thank you for joining, everyone. Thank you so much. How's everyone doing today? Tell me how you're feeling. Are you feeling stressed? Are you feeling afraid? Are you feeling in the unknown? What is present for you? Maybe you're feeling happy to have a little bit of a downtime. I just did a news show actually right before this, and that was really fun. There were people talking about how everyone is saying, stay calm, stay home, stay calm. And then the person said, but no, none of us are calm and none of us feel safe. And I think that's really the two opposites that are here in this moment, is the reality that in every single moment there is a part of ourselves that is safe and whole and healthy and at peace. And at the same time, we are in a moment where perhaps our society has never felt this level of collective tension, fear, really global fear and anxiety. So Anna said, kind of positive, kind of stressed. Yeah, I'm feeling that too. There's really both. And they're almost unveiling each other. They're talking to each other. So we're going to explore that more today. Everybody else, feel free to chime in. How are you feeling? Please, for insights. Are people meditating these days? My practice has been really deep the past few days. It's interesting. I think the more sometimes we are experiencing intense emotions and experiences, the deeper our practice opens up. And with my private clients that I've been working with this week, they've been seeing that too, that the way that we experience stress brings us into this very tuned up, but at the same time, we have to be so present when we're in really stressful circumstance. It forces you into the present moment, right? Right now, we have to be very, very present. We have to think about our safety. We have to think about our family and our friends. So that experience is really, as Pat said here, feels like living in the eye of a hurricane, and it's really true. Everything is tuning up so much that it's swirling around us, and it's forcing us to come into a state of total attention, of total focus, which is often what brings in flow states, which is part of why so many people have been having all these amazing creative writing experiences. So for those of you who maybe today are just joining for the first time, we've been doing not just meditation and having discussions, but we've also been doing creative writing experiences and looking at what we can harvest from this very intense time. And I know for me, deep meditation and also a lot of creative energy present, because so much is churning, so much is changing. There's all this energy that's shifting, that's breaking apart, that's becoming something new. And that is a really rich place for transformation. And times of intensity are some of the most potent. And so, it's always interesting. Again, that phrase we keep sitting with, may you live in interesting times. Interesting times are when we grow and evolve. We are thrown into the crucible. We are in the crucible right now, having our belief systems questioned, our safety, our societal structures, our family, our coping mechanisms. They're all being put in the crucible, and it's turning up the heat. So again, what can we do? The thing we can affect is our meditation practice. So how many of you meditated today? If you haven't, that's okay. We're going to meditate in a minute. Anybody meditate today? Krish. Hi, my old friend from the ashram in India. All these wonderful friends joining. How can we not somatize our trauma at this time? Hi, Juan and Nandita. It's a great question. So when he says somatize, I'm assuming, and please correct me if I'm wrong, you're meaning internalize the physical experience of our trauma and make it a felt, embodied experience. So one of the things that we're working with in these sessions is the reality that there are many things we don't have a choice about in this moment, but what we do have a choice about in this moment is how we care for our internal landscapes. And that's what we're going to do today. We're going to care for our internal landscapes. We feel trauma, we feel stress when we feel like we don't have choices, when we feel like our lives are out of control. So those right now, that's very much what's here. And so we can instead turn our attention to the things that we can control, the things we can affect. The things we can affect, first of all, is learning to be self-aware that these things are happening. It's learning that we can use the breath. It's learning that we can use things like yoga, meditation, connection, touch, communication, connecting with the people who are important in our lives through things like this. So we can use all of these tools to really help us navigate this very interesting landscape and hopefully come out of it stronger, more peaceful, more at ease. Because when we can realize that we can keep our peace amidst really tuned up times, then we realize when we come out of this, which we will, because it will happen, when we finally do come out of this, we're going to realize, oh, okay, I've got the rest of this life. I can do this. I'm more prepared than ever. I've got all these extra lessons here that I've just learned. All right, so let's have just a brief little chat here about meditation. And first of all, I just want to gauge the audience, and I know some of you, but I don't know all of you. How many of you have know about meditation? How many of you practice meditation, have experience with meditation? You can just say yes, and if you don't, you can say no. And that'll just help me to gauge where we're coming in. But hopefully there's something here for everybody. So the practice of meditation, oftentimes people think you'll come into the practice of meditation and everything is going to be peaceful, everything is going to be easeful. You're going to close your eyes and you're just going to bliss out. But oftentimes what happens is we close our eyes and all the things that we haven't looked at, that we haven't felt, that we haven't noticed, those all start announcing themselves. So we start feeling them. Oftentimes in the beginning, we feel them even more fully. My good friend AJ, who I'm sharing tomorrow on this hour, we're going to have a global dance party at this time at noon. And my friend AJ, he was talking about the fact that sometimes when you go inside and you start to look, all of a sudden you realize, and you almost in the beginning can feel even more stressed. So what we can do in those moments when we close our eyes to meditate and we start to notice the inner inventory coming up of everything that wants to be felt and seen and heard that we may have been ignoring or suppressing for a long time, we can instead turn our attention to look at that and step back just ever so slightly and ask ourselves the question, where do I feel this in my body? What is happening to my breath as I feel this? Can I take a deeper breath? Can I observe the mind? Can I notice what is happening in the mind, in the body? Can I step back into that deeper feeling of love that is the connective tissue that we are all experiencing now, how we're all coming together in this field of love, in this field of connection to navigate this challenge? And can we come together, can we tap back into consciousness, into stillness, into awareness, into Atman, whatever you want to call it, so that we can abide in a deep state of peace no matter what is happening in day-to-day life? So one thing I want to establish right up front, peace, experiencing consciousness is not dependent upon the circumstances in your life. A truly peaceful person will be peaceful even in, quote unquote hell. A truly peaceful person brings that peace from the inside and they bring it into whatever it is that they're navigating. Now, that doesn't mean that, you're just bliss state all the time. In fact, oftentimes when you meditate a lot, you feel the world even more fully because our compassion starts to come up, our feelings of being able to feel another as ourselves, right? The golden rule. We start to feel that we are not existing in separation, we're existing in deep interconnectivity. And so if I feel stressed, other people are feeling stressed. And if other people are feeling stressed, that's also part of my experience. And so what we need to learn is to make this a really daily practice and to commit to it every single day. And it's interesting because a lot of times people will say, I don't have time to meditate. I'm homeschooling now. I've got all this work, all these things happening. And what I would say to that is you don't have time not to meditate. If you are meditating, you will be connecting with the stillness, with the wholeness that will hold you every single moment of life, no matter what is coming up. You'll be connecting with that deeper inner safety, that inner reservoir of comfort, the inner reservoir of joy, which is what comes up when we live close to our true nature. We're going to talk in a moment about how to do that. But first, we will be more committed to doing things if we have faith in the why we do them. So just on a physiological level, we've been talking about in our daily sessions how we actually can change our state. We can affect the nervous system on a very deep level by evoking the relaxation response, which is what comes up when we meditate. On a mental level, we are preparing ourselves to connect with whatever happens in day-to-day life, to learn to surf, to learn to be in the ocean and be able to get on that wave and navigate it. And there's a beautiful story I often tell, and some of you have heard me share this story before. And if you have, that's fine. I want to share it right now because I think it's a really important reminder in these times. There's a very powerful interview that was done with the Dalai Lama. And, oftentimes we think of the Dalai Lama and he often appears happy or giggling or laughing or peaceful. And the interviewer asked him the question. He said, you had to flee your country when you were 13, 14 years old. Probably million, if not at least hundreds of thousands of people have died. Millions of people are in exile. You experience some of the worst suffering on this earth. You see it with your own eyes. You know what's going on in this world, which is so much suffering. And the interviewer looked at him and he really had this accusatory look in his eye. And he said, you see all this and so many are suffering. And he said, don't you feel it? Don't you feel their pain? Don't you feel the suffering of your people? Don't you feel the suffering of this earth? How can you be laughing and happy in the midst of it? The Dalai Lama paused for what seemed like a really long time. And as he paused, he got this look in his eyes that really carried the suffering of the entire world. And in that pause, you could just see that he was feeling the pain. When he finally spoke again, he said, I feel everything. And then he said, but the peace is more than that. I feel everything, but the peace is more than that. When we meditate, we connect with that peace and we, in quote unquote, turn up the volume on the peace so that the peace becomes we could say the loudest thing in the room. It's a kind of a funny way to say it or orient to it, but the peace becomes the most dominant experience, so that there are changing sensations, changing news, changing thought patterns, changing things happening in the world, and yet you are connected to that deeper ground of stillness, that deeper ground of peace that can be your support system, that can hold you every moment of every single day. Now, oftentimes people think that we just meditate when we close our eyes, but in truth, we can be in a state of meditation every single moment of our lives. In fact, every single moment of our lives is an invitation to feel stillness amidst these changing sensations and images and memories and beliefs and body experiences. Okay, today, health is here. I have no idea what will happen tomorrow. Maybe health will be here, maybe illness will be here. I have no idea. Can I stay connected to peace no matter what the arising is? The only way to do that is to nourish it. And that can happen when you do a daily meditation practice, but it can also happen in the midst of the day when you're, let's say, helping your kid with their new homeschooling work, and all of a sudden tension starts creeping up, people start getting nervous. It's happened here a few times, feeling like they don't know what they're doing or how to turn in their work or all these things or whatever. Someone's getting nervous about getting sick. Can you, in that moment, right when you feel tension start to tune up, can you drop back into that stillness? Take a step back from the moment, connect with that internal experience of peace, and then respond from the place of peace instead of from the emotionally reactive place. Instead of reacting from the place of disconnection, react from the place of connection. When we can live like that, then our thoughts, our words, our deeds start to arise as a reflection of awareness instead of as a disconnected, disjointed, fear-based response, which really comes from a very visceral place of disconnection. So that is the choice we have in every single moment of the day. I have a whole workshop in here on breathing. You can scroll back a few days ago. You can find the workshop on breathing. We have lots of breathing exercises that are in there. We have the choice to do yoga nidra meditation, which is really like a filing system for our mind. We have the choice to do silent meditation, where we just close our eyes and really scan through and observe what's happening. Ultimately, meditation is an invitation to still the thought waves. And as we find, we talked the other day about the first two Yoga Sutras, Atta Yoga Nusasanam, which means now in this moment, we are existing in a state of peace. Now in this moment, we're existing in a state of peace. But the reality is that a lot of us don't see it. We don't notice it. We can't see it because the volume is tuned up on the foreground story, into the news, into COVID, into what's happening at work and what's happening in homeschool. And so the volume is so loud on that we miss that deeper revelation that's really present every moment of every day, which is that stillness is also present. And so the sutra goes, Atta Yoga Nusasanam. And so now, if we already feel it now, then we're already living in that state of deep abiding and meditation. And if we don't, then we begin the practice of yoga. Yoga meaning not just, of course, the physical asanas, but pranayama, the breath, and pratyahara, which is the next phase where we start looking at the mind. Yoga chitta vritti nirodha. Real yoga is when we learn to calm the thought waves, when we learn to still the thought waves, and then we can experience the union. Now, that does not have to come from living in a cave and having a totally peaceful life. In fact, I think that people who really embody true peace are the people who are in the world and living and interacting. Now, of course, people in the cave can too, but a real test is when you go out and you have to homeschool your child, or go to work in a super tuned up environment thinking you may lose your job, or go to the grocery store worried that you're going to get COVID, or, try to take care of your elderly parents while trying to keep everyone healthy. That's when your peace is tested. So in this moment, we have a chance to practice. We have a chance to see everything that is here. So what's interesting here too is this. when we first start to learn to meditate, we think that it's going to happen in the all peaceful environment, which, most of the people I work with, they work in the least peaceful environments. And so, I work with Special Operations Community. I just finished doing a resilience training for the Air Force Special Operations Command. And it's interesting because oftentimes people think they're less likely to be able to learn to meditate or still their mind or focus. And it's actually not true. I think they're incredibly able to do it. Oftentimes when they go into an operation, their minds become so focused that they experience pratyahara, which is single-pointed meditation. It's when we really learn to focus the mind on one thing. Their minds are so focused that their bodies just calibrate. They just click right in. And what's interesting then is you start to forget. When your mind starts to focus on anything, you start to forget about yourself. It's an amazing thing. Anybody here ever fall in love? You want to know why falling in love feels so good? Anybody have a guess? You can type it in. Why does falling in love feel so good? Anybody have a guess? Falling in love feels good because you forget about yourself. Your mind becomes so focused that the foreground movements start to dissolve and we feel a deep sense of interconnection with another being. You can also fall in love with nature. You can fall in love with the planet. You can fall in love with consciousness. And then that becomes a state of being where you're existing in union. You're not existing in separation. You're existing in union. And when you're connected to another, to yourself, to the planet, to nature, to the moment, to the emotion, when you are connected, that is union. Remember, yoga means to yog, to unite the body, the mind, the spirit. That is the essence of yoga. When we can exist in connection with other people, we can be meditating every single moment of the day. We can be meditating constantly. Then we get energy from experience. You know when energy gets depleted? It's when you feel separate from the experience. So there's a beautiful phrase, suffering arises when we want reality to be different than what it is. Suffering arises when we have likes and dislikes, raga, dvesha, when we have preferences. Those preferences, we can have the preference, we can act on the preference, but our peace can be independent of that. Do you see the difference? Is that making sense? You can send out some hearts or some hellos and yeses if that's making sense. Yeah. So in those moments, when we are in connection, we forget about the I thought. We forget about the ego identity, and we become fully immersed, fully connected to what is. And in that way, we can live in a state of meditation with every single thought, every single word, every single deed. Now, these deeper states of meditation are when the foreground movements start to become more and more transparent. Okay, so when you're in a moment, let's pick anger, for instance. When you're in a moment that anger gets so tuned up that you feel like you can't even exist in your body, like you're gonna just jump out of yourself. Do you ever feel like that? Anybody? Yes, all of us probably. When you get so engaged with an emotion, so fused with an emotion, we also, in that moment, lose ourselves. That's why some people get addicted to the experience of intense emotions. We form codependence with intense emotional states. Instead, we can come back from the moment and say, okay, anger is here, fear is here, doubt is here, sadness is here. How can I form a connection with what's present in a way that dissolves? So I had this beautiful, beautiful, beautiful meditation this morning. What arose for me was the notion of healing and how this moment right now, last night before, actually let me give you a little background and then I'll go into this. Last night before I went to bed, I was on I was texting with Pat, who's on here, and our dear friend Lily Lee. Lily Lee is the medical director of Jackson Hospital, which is the main hospital here in Miami that is dealing with COVID. And she has been on an around-the-clock race with what is happening. 2 days ago, she had to empty off the contents of a cruise ship in which many of the people have COVID, and had to, really be present with those people. She's got tents full of people outside the hospital getting tested. She is amped up. What was so interesting about her is she is utterly one-pointed, single-focused on her experience. And she has this, even though she's stressed, even though she's super stressed, obviously, she's also has this co-arising, there's this peacefulness about her. Her mind is clicking. She's in this moment. That is the opportunity that presents itself when we're really able to connect. Now, we can increase our ability to do that and also to withstand stress for a long time when we take time dipping into meditation. What I started thinking about this morning and meditating on was, we talk about healing a lot. That's my work. I work with trauma. I work with people who are in deep stress. And when we talk about healing, oftentimes we think about healing in this chronological order, as if at this moment in time, trauma is occurring, but in 2 months, hopefully this trauma won't be happening anymore and I can go back to my life as it is. And then in another week or another 2 weeks, it'll be even better and everything can go back to normal and I can see my friends again and I can go back to work and I can do all the things we do, right? Does anyone out there think of healing in a chronological order? When I get fixed or when I get changed, then things will be better? Anybody else out there living in a paradigm like that? Right? I think I lived much of my life like that. I want to suggest something right here, and then we're going to take it into the meditation. Healing is not a single point in time. COVID is not just going to end, and it's all going to go away. What happens is we exist spherically. We exist from the inside out and the outside in. What happens with healing is we learn to make space around the thing that is occurring. We learn to make space around it. We learn to see. We not just learn, we have an embodied experience of the reality that we are more than just this thought. We are more than just this disease. We're more than just this moment. And as we spherically move out away from it, an event might have happened, COVID. In another 5 years, we'll think back and be like, wow, that was a really, apocalyptic time of life. But, now I have more space around it. Now I can feel healed and whole and see what the lessons are. When we talk about healing, we make space around the thing, whatever the thing is. And we start to see the bigger picture. We start to see the lessons learned. We start to see the ways in which it drove us into the lessons we needed to learn, into the experience we needed to have that maybe we didn't even know we needed to have. So the more you start tuning in to that realization that if you just step back, like we're going to do in meditation right now, and you start to spherically move out in all directions and observe, this fear is here, this disease is here, this unknown is here, all the levels of it, the financial concerns, all of it. When you spherically move out and away, suddenly it has space to move. Then you're not strangling it. Remember, the word worry, the root of it comes from the word strangle. We can't strangle ourselves into healing. We have to make space around it and let it ooze into that space. Let it breathe. Let it have some awareness, some love around it. When we wrap it up in space, when we wrap it up in love, when we wrap it up in a real sense of objectivity and presence and consciousness, then it has space to transform. Then it has space to heal. The other thing that happens is we can meet it so precisely. When you feel something so precisely, it starts to change. It starts to transform. The times in which we feel like we lose our power are when things seem bigger than us, when the fear seems bigger than us, when the anger seems bigger than us. When things seem bigger than we are, that's when we feel powerless. But if you can go down and pinpoint it, we're going to do it in meditation in just a moment. If you can go in and really try to put the pin on it, where is the fear? Where is the anxiety? Where is the thing that's holding on to me? Where's the thing that's gripping me? And then go into it and really look at it. What is the felt sense of it? What is the sensation? What is the moment? What does it look like? What does it sound like? What does it smell like? Where does it grab me? When you can really like pinpoint it, suddenly it's not bigger than you. You become bigger than it, right? It's not owning you anymore. It's this like little thing that's there. And I invite you into it. I'm going to do it in meditation today, but I invite you into it in your conscious waking life as well. Next time fear comes up, try to do this. Try to go into the moment in such a way that you pinpoint it and you say, like, where exactly is that fear living in me? Where exactly is that doubt? Where exactly is that feeling of uncertainty? Try to find it and then listen to it like you would your best friend. Listen to it like you would your child. Let it tell its story. Let it express itself. And then notice what happens. All of a sudden, it starts to transform. Did you like the sound effect? I'm growing sprouts in my kitchen right now because I have this feeling that, I might not be able to get all my fresh veggies, fruits and veggies and greens. So I started growing greens and sprouts. And I was watching the sprouts, you have to put this layer over the top in order for them to have something to push against so that the seed actually breaks open. And in my little tray, and I'll take a picture of it, I can show you, mine are already growing, but when they were breaking open, they have to have this layer to push against for the seed to break open. Right now we're in the pushing stage. Right now we're in the breaking open stage. And guess what? That's needed. So go into it, feel into that place where it feels like it's breaking open. Don't be afraid of it. You're safe. You are bigger than it. You have survived even your worst moment of life. You have survived the worst thing that ever happened to you. You are bigger than it. Consciousness is bigger than everything. It includes the whole. So keep feeling into it, keep unfolding it, keep pushing up against it, keep noticing where it's breaking open. And notice there's so much energy there. There's so much excitement there. There's so much love there. There's so much connection there. There's so much unknown that is really rife for creativity and curiosity and exploration. It's when we're on that edge that we're really able to become a fuller expression of ourselves. We are really able to grow and to transform. That's one of the reasons I love working with people who have trauma, because they're in the cook pot. They have no choice. They have to transform. Guess what? We're having a collective trauma right now. We have no choice. We have to grow. We have to transform. Hello again. All right. So hello, all new friends joining. Thank you. Now we are going to do a meditation together. And at the end of the meditation, I'm going to leave a little bit of time for silence. Before we go into the meditation, I just want to mention, these are totally free. I'm doing them on Facebook Live and Instagram Live intentionally because I want everyone to have access to them. And at the same time, if you are able to make any amount of a financial offering, you're welcome to do that. I put in the description of this and in every one of the postings, I'm putting my PayPal, which is Molly Bikrholm at gmail.com, and also my Venmo, which is listed in there. If you can make any amount, $2, $5, $10, whatever you'd pay to go to a yoga class or a meditation experience, or I've gotten several really generous big donations. Really, every donation is generous, and it's not like a dollar amount that's generous. But if there are certain people who have the ability to offer a little bit more, please do so. We will put it to good work to keep bringing these to you and creating this experience. So thank you all so much. And if you can't do it, don't feel 1 ounce of bad about it. It's totally fine. Maybe you just want to send me some other form of offering, like a beautiful poem you wrote, or a note of how it impacted you, or some other insight, or just a little sweet message or a picture, something that's valuable to you. So thank you. Now, shall we meditate? So for those of you who have never practiced Yoga Nidra, you can go ahead and either lie down or you can sit up. It's good to explore meditating in different physical positions. Typically, Yoga Nidra is practice lying down. But today, if you really want to go into it more directly, you might want to try sitting up. That's fun too. I'm just going to take a little drink. Yesterday, somebody asked me well, actually, Olivier was making fun of me. He said I was like having a cocktail, which I am having a cocktail. It's a non-alcoholic cocktail that I make from my favorite black vanilla tea. And then I make an elixir with ginger and lemon, sometimes lime, turmeric. And then I put Manduka honey and some local honey and echinacea in it. So cheers to you. Thank you. Okay. And by the way, if anyone has questions, you're welcome to message me later and ask those questions. So get all cozy, cover up with a blanket if you want. Do whatever your body needs to feel peaceful. There may be some ambient noise in the background. My dog tends to do her yoga nidra and snore sometimes. Actually, let me turn these. All right, so settling into your comfortable seat, closing the eyes. Taking a few really long, full, deep breaths. If you'd like, you can try a full body breath. You breathe in from the soles of the feet, up through the legs, up through the torso, right out the crown of the head. And then as you breathe down through the body, you scan the breath down the body and right out the soles of the feet. When we do these full body breaths, we open up access to sensation in the whole body. Several more of these long, full breaths. Letting each breath unveil a little bit of a deeper sensation in the body, in the mind. And allowing your attention to rest gently on the heart center. Take a moment to really listen to the heart. Ask yourself the questions, what is present in my heart today? As it arises, notice if an intention, a sankalpa for your practice may start to form. How would you like to feel when the practice is over? If it's an emotion you're working with, maybe set an intention around that, maybe something to learn. The revelation of its opposite. Maybe it's a question you're looking for an answer to, or a prayer for yourself or someone else. Send out that intention, knowing when we set an intention for ourselves, it's also for all beings. When we set an intention for all beings, it's also an intention for ourselves. Drilling deep back into the heart. And listening for a heartfelt desire. Something that you want more than anything else in life. Deep intention. Whatever it is, place it in a sentence in the present tense, as if it's already true. For instance, I am healthy, whole, and complete just as I am. Or I am pure being, pure awareness. Send your intention out, knowing it will take care of itself. Bring your attention now to the physical body. Scanning through the body and noticing what wants to be felt, what wants to be seen or heard. If you notice something, perhaps a place of contraction, maybe it's a spacious place, whatever place pops up. Notice it and start listening to how it feels. That's right, listening to how it feels. Feeling in to the depths of the experience. Noticing what it looks like. If it has a texture or a shape. Just as you would listen to a friend, listen to this. Maybe make some space around it. Relax into the space. And making space around it, relaxing into the space. As you make space around this feeling, keep letting it unfold, letting it tell its tale. It may feel helpful to send in some very deep, full breaths into this place. Breathing into the space, breathing out. Each inhale drawing in whatever it is your body or mind need. Each exhale, letting go. Ask the question, is there anything it wants? Is there anything it needs? Is there some action it's asking me to take in the world? Take 3 really deep breaths, breathing in and through this experience. Helping it to feel spacious. Helping it open up. Flooding the space with kindness and love. How kind and loving can you be to your body? How kind and loving can you be to your mind? Take a moment to do this. To wrap yourself up in love and light. Feeling like you are doing the very best you can in this moment. Feel that love opening up through the body. Feel that love welcoming your body for exactly who you are in this moment. Consciousness encounters something that doesn't feel welcomed, go to that place, make some space around it, listen a little more. See how fully present you can be in your listening. How deeply can you listen? Listening drop you back to the real feeling of self-awareness. Notice how, as you listen, you're feeling back into consciousness, to the wholeness that pervades this moment. You have a body with sensations that are constantly changing, all on a backdrop of that which is unchanging. So you have a mind, feelings, emotions, beliefs arise, unfold, and dissolve back into their home ground of being. Consider yourself the one who is aware of thoughts, feelings, sensations, and memories. Also aware of this stillness. As you feel the stillness, back into it so fully, and then watch if maybe any morsel or not so small morsel of fear is present. See if you can pinpoint it, go straight into it. Abiding in the stillness, abiding in consciousness, while being so totally attentive to what is asking to be felt. Notice how the two can coexist make space for both. Just like the seed that's trying to push against the ground to break open. Consciousness pushing against that, and perhaps even starting to break open, to transform, to let something new grow out of it. Open into the expansive, abiding presence that holds everything. Aware of a body, aware of a breath, aware of a mind, and abiding in this deep ground of being. Rest here for about the next 8 minutes or so. In silence, keep dropping back into that experience of awareness. If anything comes, let it be felt, seen, and heard so fully that it breaks open and begins to transform, never losing connection with that deeper stillness, holding both simultaneously. love for what is most precious to you be what brings you back to the body. Coming in through the heart. Feeling the preciousness of your body. Wrapping every cell of your body up in love and light. Loved for precisely who you are. Welcomed for precisely who you are. Feel that love expanding out to everyone joining us today, everyone's loved ones, communities, countries, and the whole earth. Take a very conscious moment to send love out. A collective, very deep, heartfelt prayer. COVID can transform and melt away quickly, having taught us our lessons. May we stay safe and healthy and connected. May we offer love to everyone who is fighting this battle on the front lines. All the first aid workers, all those bringing food to us, doing all the essential things, sanitation, all the teachers trying to teach with their own kids at home, all of us trying to figure out our way in the world. Send us all love. That we may feel how every moment comes paired with its perfect response. Feel how in this moment, everything you need is here. With that, if you'd like, you can sit a little while longer in meditation. If you want to open the eyes, you can. And if you want to, in this last minute or so, you're welcome to share some insight you gained from the experience, or a prayer you have for everyone, or some thought from the meditation. Or some feeling as a result. Love you too. Thank you. I love you all so much. So grateful for this community. It's growing and strengthening. Hey, Angela. Yeah, the mind has a way of busying itself. Hey, Aunt Vicky, I love you. I'm glad it calms you. Thank you, Pat. Thank you, Andrea. Let's connect. Let's talk now that we have time. So grateful for you all. Every single one of you. Now, if you can, go bring peace to someone, even one person. Do something to bring peace and love. Thank you all. Namaste.